Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this card. Unfortunately I don't know whose idea this was, so I'm unable to give credit to anybody. The card pieces that you're going to need are all Whisper White. The card base measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4, scored at 4 1/8 and folded. Then there's a top layer that measures, the first layer measures 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches. The next layer measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/2 inches. You need a scrap piece for, not as big as that, but a scrap piece just for the scarf. And for the sentiment you need a piece that's 3/4 inch by 3 1/4 inches. You'll need a piece of ordinary computer paper that's the same size as this top layer, which was 3 7/8 by 5 1/2 inches. And you also need a very small scrap of basic black. You just need to be able to punch out that little bit there. So to get started, we are going to use the small piece that needs to be die cut and dry embossed. But before we start that, because I'm going to be using the big shot, I'm going to use a scrap piece and I'm going to start by stamping the scarf. Unfortunately, when I ordered the stamp set, which is called Snow Place, I forgot that you could buy a coordinating set of dies with it, so I'm having to fussy cut mine. No great shapes because they're quite easy to do, but I wished I had have got them. Anyway, I'm stamping the scarf because that's all the only spare part that I'm using, and I'm changing my colour. I'm using garden green. Before we go any further, let me just show you the two stamp sets we are using. Right, okay, first of all there's Snow Place, and we're going to be using the penguin and the scarf, but loads of pieces in here, and I don't really know exactly what the dies are that come with this. As I say, I forgot to buy it. The other die stamp set we're using is Wonderland, and it's these Antlers. So what I'm going to do is, to start with, I'm going to die cut the oval shape, and I'm going to use the Ovals Collection dies. I always count mine from the inside out, so the smaller the die, smaller the number. So I'm using number 3, okay? So let's just move those over and that, and this is what I'm working with. Whoops, let me just get the big shot up. Let's move these out of the way. And to start with, I'm going to use my magnetic board because I do prefer that. Okay, so that's one. So what you need to do is to take your piece of computer paper and the top layer of the Whisper White and just pop them together. I don't normally suggest that you put two pieces of paper together, but because it's only computer paper and it is so very, very thin, this does go through your, or at least it should go through your big shot. Okay. But just in case, put the computer paper at the bottom, so if there's any that doesn't get a really nice crisp cut, it's going to be that piece. Anyway, I'm just going to pop that onto my cardstock towards the top, about the same gap either side, straight, I think. Now what I would do, if I had bought the dies, I would now put my scarf on here and die cut it out. What did I do with it here? Yeah, I would put it on there. I'd make this smaller obviously, and put the die on there so I only need to put this through the machine once. But I've already fussy cut mine in preparation. Alright, so I'm going to cut this. Okay, so that's my top sheet, and that's my computer paper. Now these two, that's the Whisper White, which will come in handy sometime. And I'm going to change over to my multi-purpose platform here. Open it up to no tabs. I do that because I know that's what my Big Shot is happy with. The embossing folder is called Softly Falling, and on this one I'm going to do, I've got the heavy snow at the top, so I'm going to do the heavy snow at the bottom. Okay, now the embossing folder goes through first, so make sure you get this lined up really nicely. Okay, there's not much of a margin for error for getting this in crooked. There we go, lovely. So I can put my Big Shot out of the way now, don't need this again. Right, okay. Now you need the next layer of Whisper White, and you're going to line up your top layer that you've just embossed, and take a pencil and just do a little line north, south, east and west. You could use your computer paper, but if that's not quite the same size, then you could be putting your marks in the wrong place. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stamp the antlers first, and when I position my penguin, I need him to be fairly straightish. I don't want him to be too far round, otherwise there's nowhere for me to put the flipper on that one. That one will stay easy, but that's difficult. And the other thing I recommend is that when you do this stamping, if you have a piece of scrap paper, I don't think the penguin will come off, or I don't think he'll come so low that his feet will poke through the edge. But it may well happen if you did this with the snowman. If you did that on here, you might find that his body comes too far over here and therefore show through underneath your top layer. So it's a good idea just to cover your work. Right, let's bring you around here. Now I don't want to do my penguin too far round. What did I say? Do the antlers first. I wish I paid attention to myself sometimes. Right, let's do the antlers first. Now bearing in mind my penguin's going to be coming down this way somewhere, so I need my antlers to come at that sort of an angle. There we go, that's fine. With the antlers you'll see that at the bottom parts here and here, it looks as if they've got like little caps on them. Now when we put the penguin down, we want his head to actually just cover those bits so that it looks as if the antlers are actually on his head and not just floating above. And from the point of view of the penguin, oops, that was clumsy, wasn't it? Black ink all over me. Right, that should be alright. Let's try again. Forgot what I was going to say. I think I was going to say about his head, wasn't I? Just to make sure that, because he's photopolymer, that's right, we can see through his head. And as you're looking, let me bring this a bit further closer towards me. Just make sure that you can't see those brown bits coming below what I would describe as like his eyebrows, if you like, because that would look funny. That feels as if it's moving. I'll soon find out. No, that's fine. You see, so the antlers are actually on his head. You can see the top bits of the little, what I regard as toppers, but that's okay. Now I'm going to take my eraser and just get rid of my pencil marks. One of them has disappeared under his body, so that's fine, it can stay there. There we go. Try not to rub your paperwork because the ink will stay wet for a little while. I'm going to put my the top layer onto this because I find it just as easy to work. In fact, I probably find it easier to work with having the top bit on there because I know exactly where the flippers are going to be going. Right, I'm going to use dimensionals. So we start off with one in each corner. One in the centre down the bottom here. Now I did have, I don't know whether I used them all or not, I had some edge ones here. I've got 3 left. I just find these so useful to going around little edges like this where there's an opening. So what I'm going to do is start cutting these edge ones as well. Side bits. I'm going to have a couple more whole ones here. I think that might do, mightn't it? Just 2 more, 1 more, done. Okay, right, line this up on top. Oh, that's good. I've got quite a lot of flipper showing, which will make my life easier. Let's get rid of these things. Right. Now, my scarf, which I've also already rather done my fussy cutting with. So what did I do with it? Oh, come on, don't do this. Oh, there it is. I can see it. Right, so I'm just going to put that on, and I'm going to use my two-way glue pen. So let's have my scrap sheet back again. If you do your penguin so he comes close to the edge like this, let the scarf come out over the top. You'll see that with my scarf on there, I've got an extra bit on the side here. That's there because I smudged some ink over there. I don't think it looks particularly nice with that extra bit, but at least it covers up my mistake. I've also got my pumpkin pie marker pen just to do his nose. I could have done that red actually, couldn't I? Never mind. It's red. It's orange now, so that's fine. That stays. Flippers. That is made. They rather are made using the Elegant Butterfly punch. And all I did was just cut half of it like that, and then I got my scissors, no, not those, these ones, and just trimmed that bit off. Didn't really need that. And then I'm going to, this is the head of the butterfly, so I'm going to cut either side of that. And then where this bumpy piece is here, I'm going to cut round. Just cut that bump off. Okay, so I'm going to start like that, round. So it should finish up resembling a petal. Okay, like that. Now that will be his left-hand side, that one, because it curls in very slightly. I'm going to do the other side. It's easier to start from the top. Okay, so that will be the right hand side. So what I'm going to do next is just take my pencil to curl these a bit. And this one. And I'm going to have them so that the curl is going downwards. Now on that side, that is quite a nice fit actually. I'm just going to cut a little bit off here, make that a little bit shorter, because this fits on. If I get tweezers, you can see without my fingers being in the way. Okay, so that fits on really nicely like that. And then this one, let's cut some more off of that one. And then I can fit that one on just about there. No, that's the wrong way around, isn't it? I've curled it the wrong way. Excuse me. That's better. Okay, so it's got that very, very slight curl there. That indicates which side it should be going. I mean, you don't have to do this bit, but I just think it adds a nice little bit extra. What should we use? I think we do Tombow. Oops, come back. So I'm just pushing that as up against his scarf, and I'm making sure that his flipper is just coming down in a straight line. Right, let's do the other side as well. Now what I'm trying to do here is, in fact, I'm going to trim just a tad off of the corner there. Okay, can you see how I've just taken a really tiny round bit off there? I've done that so that I can fit that on. I can line this up so there's no broken line there, and that's not going onto his body now. I'll cut that little bit off. There we go. Do you know, I've done that different from the way I've done that one, and I think this looks a lot nicer. I'll show you. This one, what I did was I folded them so that they're like that. See that? But this, I think it looks a lot better. How strange is that? Okay. Now I'm going to adhere this onto my card base, but first of all I need to put the ribbon on. And I'm using the 1/8 inch striped ribbon. That's this one. And I'm just going to adhere it round the card to start off with. And then I'm going to attach, glue to it a bow that I've tied separately. Just one of these ordinary little bunny ear bows. So what I'm going to do, after I put the lid on the Tombow, is I'm going to use my fast fuse and just put some on there. Let's try that again. That's better. There we go. Fast fuse is absolutely brilliant when it works, which I'm pleased to say is more often than not. That's a bit too high, I think. Now what I do is, I've judged where I want this. It's about halfway between that and that, possibly a bit on the high side. But what I do is I line my card up onto the thick line here, see where the ribbon comes on here, and it's just about that dotted line there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 squares up. So I know that I want 4 squares up on this side as well. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should go there. And just, of course it doesn't look straight to me, so better double check that. Yep. No, it's a bit low, isn't it? Let's see if we're any better. Tad high, but that looks right to me. Right. Oh, it looks right to me. It can stay. So let's put this onto my card, Tombow, and then I'll do the final bits. I just put a little bit of glue on the ribbon ends as well, just as a little bit of extra security. And just line this up. There we go. And then I'm going to put my bow on, and I'm going to use Tombow for that. You could use a glue dot, but for something like this it's not my favourite, and the reason I don't like them for jobs like this is because I think they wobble a bit. They're not very secure, or at least I don't think so. So what I do is I put my bow on there, and then I put something heavy on it to hold it down. Move that off to the side for a minute, because I've now got to do my sentiment. So I bring in this piece, and I've already set up my Stampin' jig somewhere. I've got that one, and I can't see what I've done with the other bit. Well, seeing how I've already not fussy cut, I've already prepared one earlier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a go at doing it straight myself. If I succeed, great. If I don't, then no worries. That's the one that I've already done ready. Right, so I'm using garden green. Right, come on, straight line. Ta-da! That's okay. So cut this off. Now I'm not doing fancy fishtail ends or anything, because it's white going onto white and you can hardly see it. But what I can see on here is I can see a pencil line down here. This is obviously used for something else previously. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting that on one side to allow it to dry, and I'm going to use the one that I did earlier because that doesn't have any pencil marks on it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just use some dimensionals, pop that on there, and that will be my card done. Yeah, I'm really pleased with the way I've done these flippers. I really think that looks a lot better than how I'd done them originally. If you'd like to know how I did them originally on that card, send me an email and I'll explain it to you. Right, where's my tweezers gone again? Okay, we can manage without you. There we go. So there's my two cards. Here's one that I did with the snowman, and the one thing I'd like to show you about this is with the tie, when you do that you'll find that it comes right over the edge of his neck. You see how much bigger this one is to that one, because I cut that down. And what I did was I placed this on his body, but obviously remember that that tie wasn't there when I did this, and I just took my pencil and I drew a line where the dark outline was, did that on both sides, and then I cut just on the inside of the two pencil marks, and it fitted beautifully. So there you go. I hope you like this. I'm sure there's loads of other creatures you can use from that stamp set to play about with this. I think it's just brilliant. Anyway, many thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions, please contact me. As always, I will be happy to help you. If you've enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button on the right hand side of the screen, or it may be underneath the screen, depends what you're watching the video on. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I've featured here, please click on the link that's at the bottom of the screen, and that'll take you to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio!